What the hell? Great start.
I just don't want it to go past 30 seconds. That's what I'm so worried about now.
Well, we're not getting on iHeartRadio.
They have iHeartRadio, and it's like this, what is iHeartRadio exactly?
iHeartRadio is a clear channel app, basically, to get you to listen to any of their stuff anywhere in the country, and it also, other podcasts and stuff can basically apply to be part of their window. I guess the advantage of it is you have it on both Apple and on Android. So instead of having to go to iTunes for ours, or go to Spreaker, or on Android you go to Stitcher, they're all at iHeart. So apparently that's the advantage of it.
But we screwed up. We really wanted to be on it, and we were playing our intro music too long. So now I'm all paranoid.
It's not like we sit here and play it for a minute and just let it play. I mean, we're talking over it. But anyway, screw iHeartRadio.
Okay,
hey,
we have a guest.
You guys want to be pirates. You want to be pirates.
We do.
We do. Radio is.
Exactly.
So,
we have a guest today.
Yes, that is the voice of, and how do you pronounce your last name? I don't even want to butcher
Fagerberg.
It is Fagerberg? Okay,
yeah.
So it's Jerard, you go by Jerry?
Yeah, Jerard in print, Jerry in speech.
Okay. All right, well, we bring in Jerry today. He writes for the City Pages. He's you're recently moved to the Twin Cities, right? You're from the East Coast, from Boston, or just Massachusetts, you said?
Yeah, I'm from Massachusetts.
Okay. And you've been writing for the City Pages for how long?
About 3 months now.
About 3 months. Bye, Rook. Good to see you as always.
We got a group of lively men in front of us.
It's a bunch
tonight.
of Cretan grads, so you can only imagine.
Yeah. There we go.
Thanks, Ruck. The one and only rookie from my AM 1500 days. So we bring in Jerry today because he did a piece called The 12 Beers of Christmas in the City Pages, where you decided it would be a good idea to go to it was Bulldog, right, uptown?
Yeah, I don't want to mischaracterize it. I never thought it was a good idea.
Okay.
I just thought it was an idea.
Well, because I think your whole thing is it's a cascade of bad ideas.
Yeah,
it starts.
They nest within each other. Yeah.
Yes. It starts with the idea of just trying to have 12 beers in general. Now, unless you're drinking light, crappy beer, drinking 12 beers is going to be kind of tough. You're not a big overweight guy, like myself. It's hard to drink more than like 5-6 beers without getting pretty wasted. What were you going to say there?
No, I'm just trying to think of how many beers I've had at once. That doesn't include, ciders for me. I have gluten allergy. Oh, I know.
Poor thing, right?
I know.
I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
No,
exactly.
No, it's sad.
But in college, I drank beer for a while, and in high school, I obviously drank beer. I don't think I've had any more than like 6 or 7 strong beers at once.
Well, when I was in college, I kind of drank like I hated myself. Like I would essentially drink the worst beer I could find. We used to drink this beer. It's called Beer 30. And
that just sounds awful.
Yeah, it was awful, but it was like, I went to school in Maryland. It was like $11 for a 30 rack, And in those days, I could drink, 20, 25 beers.
Holy shit.
Like, high of 30. I think 30 was probably like my highest point. But those are like 3% alcohol, and this was also like 4 years ago, right?
Yes.
So I knew I couldn't do it when I went into it. I knew it because like.
You knew it was ambitious going in.
Well, you think about a winter beer, and they go down like bread. They're thick beers, so they're not really fun to binge on. They're not as I think the beer nerds would say sessionable beers.
Correct.
Right? You're not just going to sit around all day in the sun and drink 5. Even like the lightest beers were heavy, so I knew I couldn't do it. But
there's a point where you brought it down to I think 7.2 on like the third or fourth beer because you had to level out, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you're still over 7%.
I was really, really conscious, or I would really try to be ignorant about what I was getting myself into, Because, like, I remember when I was sitting at my house and I was drinking the second beer, I looked on the label and it said it was 10%, and I was like, oh, no. So when I got to the bar, I just guessed at what was the lower ABV because it's not on the menu.
Right.
And I didn't find out until the next day, really, what I had gotten myself into.
What you did to yourself?
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, and you started out with Delirium Noel, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So and hold on, you have to start too with, you were going to do 12 beers, you called them, they didn't have a couple, so you went to get a couple.
Right.
And instead of, and I think this is your only option, but instead of just maybe going and getting a 12-ounce, you go and you have to get a couple of bombers.
Right. I was thinking about getting 6-packs, but I only get reimbursed for so much of the bill, so I was like, I'm going to get 2 beers, I'm going to get 2 nice beers,
Efficiency.
And 2 things I didn't think I would drink normally. I looked at them, I was like, there's no way they have this one on tap. Lo and behold, they had it on tap, so I kind of screwed myself there.
The Delirium Noel?
Yeah, but the other one they didn't. The other one was...
The red? No, that's the one they put on.
Well, they had with the other beer, I mean the other beer I drank at home, the St. Bartolus
yeah,
Christmas Ale, which was amazing. But yeah, those were the two I picked up, and I didn't realize that they were both 10%. But that's, I mean, I guess that's what you get yourself into when you're buying bombers. They're like pretty much wine anyway.
Exactly. You're messing yourself up almost regardless of the percentage.
Holy
but
shit.
you're going with 10% bombers to start your night, and you haven't even left the house yet.
Yeah.
At this point.
So I split those bombers with my buddy Todd, but
I was hoping you did.
by the time we got there, Todd was hammered. You know, and Todd's 6'3". You know, he just doesn't drink beer a lot, and you know, I think the first thing he said to the waitress is like, "I'm drunk. What can you get me?" And she was not amused with what we were doing.
No, she didn't sound amused by any of your antics
No.
at this little venture.
Because when I called him on Wednesday, initially to see how many beers they had, because like they tapped like 8 of the beers on December 1st, and then another 4 on December 8th. So I wasn't sure how many were left. When I called him, the lady on the phone thought it was funny. It was like, you know, I'm writing for City Pages. I want to kind of drink all 12 beers in one night. And then I thought that would be the attitude when I got there, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to try to drink all 12 beers in one night. And she was like, okay.
Yeah, couldn't care less. Which one you want? Let's go. Yeah, I can totally, and I can understand you probably talked to a manager or something the first time, and they would be a little more interested in that, and especially they'd be like thinking, oh, pub, and then you get to the person that's actually delivering the beer to you, and they don't give a shit
Well,
why you're doing
I don't know how thrilled the manager is, because, I mean, I guess it's good enough press for Bulldog, but it's like, their intention was not to be like, come drink all these in one night, you know, so, or like, come throw up in our toilet, you know, and write about it on the internet, because I don't think it makes their establishment look any better that I tried this there.
It sure doesn't, but it doesn't make them look bad, and it gets their name out.
Bad.
No, it doesn't make them look bad, but you're right.
Like
This wasn't their intention.
Right.
It's not like
right.
they were, go drive home now.
Yeah, well, luckily I live within walking distance, so, I mean, the only reason I
That was
noticed
the only
they had
good decision you made here, I think.
the only reason I knew it is because I walked my dog past it every day, and every day it was like taunting me. It was like 12 beers at Christmas, and I was like, you know what, fuck that. I could drink all these in one night. And I tried, and I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, I might as well get paid to do it. And then I pitched the story.
That's why you had to come on this show, because I think I consider myself to be a little bit brilliant in the way that I've managed to. I get to come and sit at a bar and drink beer and bullshit, and that's part of that's my job. I'll call myself brilliant on that one.
Wait, can you call me brilliant?
No,
too?
just me.
I did oh.
Just me. I started this. No. You have been here since day one, and she's in on this game with me. But I just love the idea of you're going to write a column and you're just going to get shit faced, and that's your column.
So I think, you know, part of being a part-time journalist, which is what I am, is to do as many things I want to for free as possible. Or to get paid for it. I haven't, you know, I normally write about music for City Pages, and I haven't paid to go to a concert I wanted to go in like a year. So
well done.
It's real. I actually did it on Saturday. I intentionally went to a concert that I didn't pay for, and it was awesome.
What'd you pay for?
Well, we went to go see Doomtree at the Blowout.
Yeah.
But like the week before this piece came out, I did a bar crawl with Doomtree, and I was like, I want to do this, and I want to drink for free, and they were like, okay.
Dang.
So,
yeah. Great job.
It's a hustle. It's an absolute hustle.
I guess we're drinking for free.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I actually only agreed to do this because I thought I'd get a beer out of it.
Well, and it worked out because that was the first thing I said basically was go grab yourself a beer.
Right.
I knew you'd want one. All right, I want to move through. I want to go through your list, and I kind of want you to take us through it too. I mean, how you're feeling. So, like we said. Wait, you're 2 beers down. You're splitting them with your buddy, who's already shit-faced.
Yeah.
And now you've gotten to Bulldog, and it looks like we started with Delirium Red there.
Yeah.
Which again sounds like you don't start with Delirium beers. Like that's a really dangerous start.
Right. I wanted to remember it because I thought it would be good.
Okay.
So I was like, you know, and like I really love Belgian beers. I love the style of them, and I love like a saison. And so I was like really turned on by the St. Bartolus, and I really wanted to keep going that way because when I had envisioned it, I thought I'd be drinking like stouts and porters and winter warmers all night. So the red seemed like a good choice because, you know, I had something from Delirium. It was delicious.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually wasn't that big of a fan of the beer. It was it had like a almost chemical, like a cough syrup taste or aftertaste to it.
Yeah. You say, what's this? What's this? There's something very wrong.
Right. Yeah, that was my Nightmare Before Christmas quote there. But yeah, I think that was a turning point for sure.
And now, because the beer wasn't as high a quality as you'd hoped either, that kind of started pushing things downward. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole piece starts out in negativity. The whole piece is rooted in negativity, and me not liking Christmas, which is like the most negative thing you can do, right?
Right.
So, I really get my hopes up in the first 2 beers, and like I'm enjoying it. It's like kind of a homey situation. I'm hanging out with some people I really like. My dog's there. It's great. And then
not a single Christmas decoration
not
or anything.
not a
though.
one, not a one. No.
Love
I
that.
mean, I live with my girlfriend. She's Jewish, and like
Okay.
plus we're like I don't know. It just seems like a waste of money. But
I agree. I would never put up a Christmas decoration
right,
myself.
right. I mean, I'm going to my parents'
My
house.
sister does that.
I'm going to my parents' house. They'll have a tree, whatever.
Right.
But
Yeah.
so like I'm a little Scroogey, but I kind of I come out of that pretty quickly before I go back into it. Because the beer didn't hold up, man. I had a lot of hopes for that Delirium Red, and it didn't come out the way I wanted.
To me, beer is like movies. We were talking about this recently. I think the vast majority of movies suck. I mean,
for
there
sure.
are so many
By
bad
design.
movies made every year, and the same is true with beer. I mean,
yeah.
most beer sucks.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you find a good IPA here, you find it, like you're into the Belgians, you like that style. I love when I find a good winter or a good Oktoberfest.
Mm-hmm.
But the vast majority of them are bland or not indistinguishable, which is kind of what you were saying about that red too. Where
Yeah.
and another red you get into the strong ale later
The
on.
Widmer, yeah.
You're kind of saying there's no, it's not standing above anything else in any way.
I will
There's
say
a lot of
I
that.
didn't really study the tap list before I got into it, but I was pretty surprised with the quality of the beer. I thought it would be a lot worse. You know, I thought it'd be like Summit was the worst beer I had, and I'm not gonna insult it because you're drinking one right now, but
No, and Summit Winter is just it's my easy go-to.
it's just a beer, you know,
Yeah.
and that was like the bottom point. So I mean, although I'm kind of dramatic and critical of everything, the beers were good. It was a better selection than I thought for a place called the Bulldog, which sounds like I don't know, a frat brother.
They have
at,
great beers
Right.
there at Bulldog. They do. Wait, can I tell a really funny Delirium story quick?
Yes,
absolutely.
I
please
was
do.
I was at Delirium in Brussels, and I met, I was traveling, I was backpacking, and I met one other guy, and he was like, I'm from St. Louis, I'm an Anheuser, and I was like, what are you talking about, man? I was like, you're full of shit. And he was like, I love beer, well, I'm Anheuser, and he showed me his ID. Well, sure enough, he's part of the Anheuser family. I was like, this kid's automatically annoying. He was like working for this socialist party, but like was a total conservative back home, but he wanted an internship. I was like, man, if you ever want to run for office, like, you're not gonna be able to do that, right? Anyway, besides the point, this kid's like, I go to Boston, I drink a lot in Boston, I go to BU,
Sounds
from
like a BU guy.
Anheuser, right? Totally.
Sounds like a BU guy.
Drinking with them. I'm holding up. He goes stark white and vomits all over the Delirium. All over the tap house.
That's why they make bad beer, I guess.
It was like my favorite story. I was like, all right, man, time to go home, Anheuser-Busch.
That's
like, get out of here.
that's awful.
It was
That's-
embarrassing.
I mean, I don't think the Belgians have that like competitive drinking mentality
They
when they're
don't.
putting. That's
They
why they make them
don't.
10% because you will
Exactly.
die if you try to
You sip
competitively
on
drink
him.
them.
Oh, he got so fucked.
Well, you're supposed to be sipping a 10-ounce pour and just enjoying it.
Yeah,
you
in
know,
a
and-
tulip glass.
Exactly.
Tulip
They're
glass.
not meant to be 22-ounce slam them down or
Right.
bombers. All right, so next one is back to the Widmer Burr.
Yeah.
That's what they call it, an American Strong. Now, I always thought of American Strongs as just basically like IPA, but just a very little variation. You're saying is that really just a red usually?
Yeah,
It's
I
pretty
mean,
much
I
the
don't.
same-
I think that it's a euphemism. I mean, I think there are too many names for beer. I think there needs to be like a committee that really cracks down and like, because like they were like, oh, this isn't really a Helles lager. I don't even know how to say it, but like
Right.
there's too much bullshit in the world, and you gotta call it what it is. But I think most strong ales are typically red, and red ales are like the bane of the beer world. And I didn't have any literature on this beer before I went into it. I just said Burr, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get like a darker beer. And then they brought over this, and Todd was like really. I say in the piece he was appalled by it because like he got it first, and he was like, you don't want this, it's a red ale. And I was like, I wasn't psyched about it. Like the only red ale I really ever go out of my way to drink is Sam Adams Brick Red because they only tap it in Boston, and like it's not that great of a beer, but it's nice for the nostalgia.
Sure.
But I'll never go out of my way to drink one. It was just nice that it was bitter because I typically like an IPA or a bitter beer, and I wasn't expecting that out of any winter beers.
Yeah.
I don't get to it again until the celebration later on, but that I knew I was getting myself into. So that it wasn't a total loss, but I think the takeaway I give is you'll shoot your eye out because if you're going into expecting like a holly jolly experience, it's not going to be what you're really looking for.
And I don't mind if you want to make basically an IPA or a hoppy beer to be your winter beer, but then sell it that way. Don't
Yeah.
try to market it as something that
Right,
it's not a winter beer then.
I mean, I think if that's what you do, and like you want your winter seasonal, and I talk about this with Celebration, you want it to be a hoppy beer and IPA. That's great, but I think people are fucking up putting red ales as their winter beers because like I don't see the connection. Like, oh, it's red. Santa's suit is red.
Yeah,
Like,
that's it. That's but for people like you guys who know what you're talking about, and for people like me who maybe don't, like the red is kind of like what makes it.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So
You
you,
know what I
buy
mean?
that being
So I'd be
seasonal
like,
purely by the color.
Some dumb basic bitch or some bro would pour it into a pint glass and be like, look, it's red beer.
Well,
Happy
I mean,
holidays.
locally,
you know?
Red Cape comes out from Flat Earth, and it's the Vulcan's beer, which is the local winter
Yeah.
carnival thing. That and they have a picture of a Vulcan on it, and it would not. There's no other reason to try to sell it in the winter other than you
Right.
mark it on that red, the whole the Vulcan thing. That's the only way to market.
So
that
yeah,
beer.
I don't know Widmer's story or what they were going for with the
Yeah,
beer, but
I don't
I
know
mean,
either.
I've never actually, I don't think I've ever had anything from them before, but it was just an okay beer.
Well,
I think you'll find through this piece, I am constantly having an expectation and not meeting it. Like that's like sort of the ebb and flow. As
Yeah. That's why I brought up like movies and television. It's
Yeah.
the same thing. Every time I get my hopes up about something, it's usually a couple notches below what I was
Yeah.
hoping for.
So just don't ever hope. That's kind of the point of the piece. Children, take that home. All the children who
Christmas
listen to the
spirit.
beer podcast.
Yeah. For all the kids out there listening.
You spend 364 days looking forward to Christmas, and it's always a letdown. Your uncle always gets too drunk. It's too much.
Are you
never
the
get
drunk
what you
uncle
want.
right now? Or?
No, I don't have any nephews yet, but one day I will be, and I'll just be telling them about how I used to be in like a ska band, and like take them downstairs and make them listen to my demos. You know, uncle stuff.
You know. No, and actually, Widmer, I can't verify this, but I remember being at Happy Gnome where they have like 100 taps or 70 taps too, and they had, I think it was their oatmeal stout, and this was when I was really just starting to really get into craft beer and really have like at least start to think I have a palate for it. And I had a sip of this Widmer, and it was like, oh, there's that, wow, and then there's that, whoa, and then there's that. Like literally, you're sitting there for 90 seconds, and you're still going, oh wow, another level. Like it was amazing. So that's why to hear that a Widmer was kind of bland is a little sad to me.
Yeah, I don't blame it on the brewer. I blame it on the style.
Yeah, well, you're right. That can be the problem in the first place. Rush River Winter Warmer, we have that. We've had that every year down at Burger Mo's, one of our other sponsors. We're at O'Gara's by the way tonight. We haven't mentioned that, I don't think. What was your take on that one? It's a Scotch ale. Those can be good or horrible.
Again, means nothing to me.
Exactly, because the vary in flavor so much.
Yeah, and if you look at it on I don't know, Rate Beer, it's called one thing, and then on Beer Advocate, it's called another, and then on or some asshole's beer blog, it's called a different thing.
And at that point, doesn't that mean it's not any of them?
Yeah.
Or it's all of them? I mean.
So the warmer that like I'm really accustomed to is the Harpoon Winter Warmer, which is very piney, and it has like that really fresh head to it, and I really enjoy it. It's not that dark or thick, but I can't even. What do I say about this?
Well,
Rush
you
River?
kind
This
of
is the coffee one.
puked at this point.
Well, this is the one you got with your sandwich and your tots.
Okay,
much. Oh, yeah,
this
you
is
got
the
that.
coffee one. So
This
this
is
is this was like
pre-puke.
more of I puke after it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will say
it wasn't good.
The food at Bulldog is incredibly greasy.
Yes.
And it makes for an easy exit. You know.
You lubed it up a little.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, this was kind of what I was expecting from winter beers, you know,
Mm-hmm.
as far as the Rush River goes, because it had that portery taste, and you know, it had the creamy head, and it left the lace on the glasses, like what you would expect, or what I would expect anyway, out of a winter beer.
I think that's what Rush River does with most of their beer.
Yeah.
They make a style and that's it. In my personal opinion, none of them are really are super standouts, but they do always hit what they're trying to make by the style. So then we move on. Oh wait, so now did we just puke at this point?
I puke after, like a little bit after, like I have the sandwich and the tots and the beer. The beer goes down really, really slow because you know this is like a loafy beer,
Yeah.
and then I mellow for a little bit, and I go and I do what is called a tactical chunder because
Yeah.
I can feel myself losing control. You know, I don't really get. So when you're in college, I feel like you know exactly who you are when you're drunk. You know, because you get drunk so often, it becomes part of your personality.
Yes.
And you can be like, you know, I just get kind of funny when I'm drunk, or like I laugh a lot, or like I forgot what I'm like when I'm like super drunk, you know? Like so I thought like maybe this will be a process of me learning about my identity. Like I'll rediscover part of my identity.
Your drunk self.
And I got like I was getting too far into it, and I realized that when I get drunk I just kind of withdraw and I don't say anything to anybody, and I was getting too close to it, and so I had to be tactical, and so I pulled the trigger, and it wasn't like, you know, this big, I don't want to go into too much graphic detail, but it wasn't like a seizure of a puking, you know, I just like, it was kind of like, you know, just a little bit, and then I went back, because I didn't want to get on the floor, you know?
Right.
I'm like a full body puker. Like, you know, I put my
Oh,
I put my
God.
back into it. It's awful. You never want to see it.
It's so loud.
I-
Is it loud?
Yeah. I mean,
It's the sound.
I
that
remember
gets
being
me.
in second grade and watching a kid get up out of the classroom and just like throw up in his hands as he ran away, and I was like, how do you do that? Like, like I just go into the fetal position.
Yeah,
so
it's way more violent than that usually.
So like, you know, it was more like, you know, when you turn your radiator on for the season, like you just run it until like a little bit of water comes out, you get all the air out, and then you close it again. It was like that, you know, it was just a little bit. So, and also, you know, I had paid for the food. I wanted to digest it, and I thought I had earned that right. So yes, I did puke at that point, and it wasn't nearly the bailout I thought it would be.
No,
It
it never really is.
Right, 'cause I
But
mean-
it will make you feel better for 10 minutes at least, though.
It was a kind of a preventative measure. I should have taken a beer and a half ago.
Sure.
You know.
Totally understand.
Oh, that is
Totally
awesome.
get it.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're on to Krampus.
Yeah,
which
great
is
beer.
An Imperial Pilsner. That's a
Yeah.
style you don't hear too often.
Right. Yeah. It was a great beer. I mean, maybe it's just because I love Krampus, the character of Krampus.
Yeah. Well, you really? You like the guy that's anti-Christmas,
Oh, yeah,
anti-Santa,
right?
anti the whole
So
thing?
like,
Really? Shocked.
I mean, it was really serendipitous that it came up because it was like, this is the point where I'm really losing everything.
Well, no, and actually, let's just for a second take. How are you choosing at this point? Are you just letting them?
No,
give
I'm
you
just
the-
kinda, you know,
Oh, just
going.
kind
You're
of. Okay.
going. Okay.
I mean, I like tried to get all the ones that were tapped on December 1st because they were at the top of the list first, but I just kind of picked and choose as I went.
Okay.
But I picked the Krampus because, again, I want to remember it, and I think I'm like at a really critical point where I'm not going to remember anymore, which sucks because I have to remember to write it down.
And you are taking notes. Right,
Yeah,
as you go.
I actually almost brought my notebook. It is just indiscernible. You can't read anything
I
in
would
it.
love to see the
Holy
inside.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
notes.
there's a picture of it in the article. It's literally what it looks like.
It's
And the next
horrible.
page is the name of the beer, and that's it.
Okay, and by the way, if you guys are listening, this is citypages.com, blogs.citypages.com. The title is The 12 Beers of Christmas.
It is on the Facebook.
Yeah.
and
It's on the
Twitter,
hot
too.
dish.
It
the
is
blog.
one man's
Hot
attempt
dish.
to drink himself into the Yuletide spirit.
Mhm.
That's the full name.
So yeah, that was my intention, and I really thought I was doing great with the first two beers. But by the time I got to Krampus, I was full on ready to burn Christmas to the ground, and Krampus helped me. You know, it is really a great beer. It's a delicious beer.
9%.
Yes,
for
very
the audience.
heavy beer.
Jesus.
The average ABV was over 8% for the
Oh my
night,
God.
so it was high.
Can you compare that beer to anything else? I'm trying to think. I don't even know if I've had an Imperial Pilsner before.
I don't know. No, not really.
Okay. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've had Krampus. I just can't remember it.
Yeah.
It would have been last year or the winter before, so I don't remember what it's like. But Imperial Pilsner. Because I mean, what am I? My buddy made it a lager over the past winter and served it up to us this spring. I don't like lagers. I don't typically like Pilsners in
Me
general.
neither.
You
Me
know, I
neither.
mean, to me they're usually too bland. And he gave me, and it was 14%.
Oh man.
And you couldn't taste that because it was covered with enough hops, which I'm like, this is a lager. How am I tasting hops? And it covered the alcohol to a point where it was. Thanks for your little.
I do know
input
that,
there.
though.
Have you ever had Jack's Abbey makes a IPL, an Imperial Pale Lager?
No.
I guess it was sort of similar because it's like, you know, a big body Pilsner, but like Pilsners are usually like that piss yellow. It's like Miller Lite, you know. So I really actually try to avoid them normally.
Yep.
Again, no literature on the beer, just kind of went into it. But at this point, I've really kind of nuked my palate because I'm going back and forth between all these strange beers. Like the hoppiness from the Widmer is really taken over. All the like the creaminess and the fresh fruitiness of the red, the Noel, and the Saint Bernardus are gone. So I don't really, and I'm really at this point I get lost in the philosophy of the beers. You know.
Well, that's where you have to get lost because,
Yeah.
like you said, the taste is gone. I mean, whenever
Right.
I go to, I'm going to the Beer Dabbler this winter, and whenever I go
Oh,
to
God.
any kind of tasting like
We're-
that,
we're going
Well,
to the
we are
Beer-
going, yes. And I swear, I mean, you get past the fifth, and it's gone. I mean,
Yeah.
and then you still try 30 more, but after the fifth, there's all you're doing is getting drunk.
Right. I mean, if I was like a sommelier, I would want to taste in like an order that is, you know, good to the
Sure.
palate. You start with white wine, then you go to
Right.
blush wine, then you go to red wine. But I didn't care to do that. You know, I just kind of wanted to go as ad hoc as I could with it, and I really I think if I accomplished anything, it was that.
I would say, yeah, success. So now we're to the Celebration, which is a beer I really like.
Yes,
and
delicious beer.
Again, it's a winter IPA, but for some reason that one works for me. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
And you talk about it, how it doesn't really consider itself a Christmas beer, even though it's like a winter beer. They almost like separate themselves a bit from that.
There's like on the label there's like a cottage covered in snow. And it's like, so they brand it for winter, but they don't really get winter in North Carolina. So what the hell does Sierra Nevada care about winter? Right? They're going to make the same kind of beer all year round.
Exactly.
And I guess what makes it wintry is it does have that a little bit of a piney taste, which I guess you can just attribute to the hops. And I think this was the fresh hop version, because they have a fresh hop and a dry hop version. And it's something I've had a lot. I love everything Sierra Nevada does, because they make just such a great drinkable pale beer. And I was really trying to use it to center myself again, come back to something I really know. But what I really realized about the beer is that, it doesn't have an allegiance to being a Christmas beer. Or you could drink that beer in April. You could drink that beer in, October. I probably wouldn't drink it in July, but.
Well, indoors in the AC.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
at the bar watching a game or something.
That's the point where I say to myself, this whole thing is kind of a charade. And but it is interesting that I do notice a difference between like the beers that are Christmas styles and the ones that are winter styles, and I think I kind of become very secular at this point. Actually, I think every beer from there on out is just a winter beer. Like there's the Old Man Winter, right?
Yep, Old Man Winter from
and
Southern
then
Tier's the next
Summit.
one. And we have taken it from, so Krampus, we were back up to 9%. We've gone way down to 6.8 with
God.
Sierra Nevada, and then back to 7 with the Sierra Nevada Old Man Winter.
Yeah.
And here's where we do have the note, or the picture of your notes.
Yeah.
Man, you look rough, dude.
I can make out Southern Tier.
I can see the word finish. It says finish.
Yes, and finish.
Yeah.
That's about it.
So I honestly don't know what my thoughts were at that point. So I couldn't, in the sense of good journalism, not that this is like excellent journalism, like write anything to say about it, because like I couldn't remember what it tasted like, and I just kind of gave up. At that point I was like, this is literally what my experience was. If you read that page, you know what my night was like.
And if anyone who hasn't, if you haven't looked at this article yet, I mean, every one of the beers, it's got about a paragraph or two description. It's detailed. You get to Southern Tier, and it's one sentence, and it's just, I present unedited my page of notes. Like, it's not even about the beer; it's just about your notes and that picture. And then we get to the beer I'm drinking currently, which, like I said, is just my easy go-to, get you through. Even though I didn't realize it was over 6% too, but Summit Winter.
So it was the lowest ABV of everything I drank.
All of them.
And again, I don't remember drinking the beer, but I've had it plenty of times before that I can tell you what it tasted like. I mean, it's a good beer. There is something I think that, like I say, is a little macro about it. You can tell that they're brewed in bigger batches, and it's not as thick as you think a beer of that color would be.
Yep.
But it's a good beer, certainly. It's a
think
great beer
to
end on.
I think it's a lot like their pale.
Yeah.
It's a solid beer. But again, it's like a lot of things. It's not necessarily trying to stand out in any.
That's your
way.
good, $3 to $4 beer, and it's I'd say comparable to Sam Adams Winter Lager, which is another beer I drink plenty.
Sure.
Okay, can we read your night by the numbers? Because this is a good little wrap up.
Yeah, this is good.
Beer's actually finished 9-ish.
It's like 8 1/4.
Average beer advocate score 87.
It means you're drinking good beers.
Pretty good, yep.
I mean, one was a 95. That would be the St. Bernardus, and the Celebration is a 93. So,
dang, all right.
If you care what those dickbeards think, then
and I do. I mean, I don't completely agree with them. I'm sure on a lot, but I look at it like Rotten Tomatoes. Like, at least
It's a
gives
good
you a
guideline.
standard.
Yeah.
I
mean, Beer Advocate was founded in Cambridge, Massachusetts, so like, people there hold it in really high regard, but I think they're a little too snooty for their own good. You should read the reviews of Beer 30. They're very funny.
Oh my God, it's like one of those good Amazon reviews.
Yeah, right. 1 star.
Average ABV 8.01%. Calories, that's high as shit.
Yeah.
Calories consumed 2,262. Pastrami sandwich and tots not included.
But they also came right back up.
But also that wouldn't assume I drank the whole Summit, which I didn't. So I spent a year in Thailand, and I met a Thai person. They said one thing Americans will never do is no matter how drunk they are, they never leave a beer on the table. They always finish the drinks before they leave anywhere. And that was one of the few times I left a beer on a table. I would have disappointed my friend Soam a lot with that one.
Pisses taken 7. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's
I got
a lot.
bladder. I got a bladder the size of a golf ball.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's
too.
impressive. I'm like, I gotta go every beer. But tactical chunders 1, non-tactical chunders, was that after?
Yeah, when I got home, I really let it loose.
Yeah, for sure.
And I tried to get back in bed, and my girlfriend was like, "No, you have to brush your teeth." And I was like, "I guess you're right." Yeah.
How did you feel the next day?
Well, I think that's actually in the
Oh,
list,
sorry.
right?
Is that part of this? I'm sorry.
Oh.
I don't want to get to it too early.
Hours at the bar 3.5. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
How long were you drinking at home? The two
It was
bombers.
like probably about a half hour, maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so
it's
good
pretty
But I mean,
cool.
I checked when I turned in the receipt to get reimbursed, the check was at 10:07. I was like, oh man, that sucks. That sucks.
Drunk tweets 0, surprisingly. That is really impressive.
I can't believe you didn't tweet during that.
Yeah,
You should have live tweeted that. There was some live tweeting.
You know, there was a lot of conversation going on. I was yelling
Yeah.
about cereal. I'm pretty sure, I can almost guarantee Operation Dumbo Drop was on TV, and I was really captivated by it because I'd never seen it before. And what a place to see it during an event. You know, it's like you couldn't write that absurdity. It was amazing. But yeah.
A number of times I turned to my girlfriend and told her, I miss our dog. Wasn't your dog with you?
No, you can't bring your dog to the bar.
I don't know. Sometimes you can bring him in, like Bulldog. You can have him on, like, kind of by the door.
Yeah.
All right. 3.
But that was low. Usually it's at around 10, especially towards the end of the night.
Yeah.
Is that because of drunkenness or just how much you really love your dog?
I unabashedly love my dog. He's the light of my life, that guy. Camper, if you're listening, what's up?
Money spent 67.55.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
It was $27 for the 2 bombers.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, Lake Wine and Spirits is not the cheapest liquor store in the world. Found that out.
But those aren't cheap beers either. You're
Right,
talking about.
right.
Hours hungover approximately 10.
Yeah, so it went on pretty well into
Wow.
the night. So that was the night I went to the Doomtree show the next day. So I was I had 1 beer before I went, and it kind of evened me out, you know?
Good. Hair of the dog.
You almost have to
Yeah,
do
it's
that
called
at that
retox the system. Get the toxicity back over here.
Regrets incalculable. I thought you did pretty well. You didn't do anything too crazy.
I don't know. I'm too old to be doing this shit.
Nah,
You
you're
know, I mean,
fine. Nah, dude. This is life.
and it was like a really painful and arduous experience, you know, because like I knew I wasn't going to make it to 12. Absolutely knew. Especially when I got there and they were like, we only have 8 of the 12 beers. I was like, great. I was like, thank you for the
God.
excuse. But, you know, it was a lot. It was too much. And I didn't enjoy it, you know.
It seemed like you did. I
It
mean,
sounds
the
like
speech is
fun, right?
Yeah, it's hella entertaining.
I had more fun writing it than actually living it. So,
Well, no, but then well done. I mean, because that's what good writing does. You
Thank
take
you.
something that wasn't even necessarily that fun to you, and you make it fun to read.
I think it's vicariously fun for you because you can
Yeah.
laugh at my misery.
Yes.
But yeah, you know, I was so full all night, and like I didn't give any respect that the beers really deserve. You know, like
Sure.
these beers, I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm not gonna like go all craftsman bullshitty on you, but like I think they deserve to be enjoyed. But I was just like. It was a task, you know. It was like I was like a checklist, you know. I literally had the list and I was crossing them off.
Now, if it's work, that is different. It's harder to enjoy it when you're making it work like that.
Yeah, and I don't like winter beers typically. They're not my style, you know. Neither is Christmas, so I thought going against the grain would really work in my favor. Maybe I would have like an epiphany, but it never happened.
No epiphany.
Yeah. So and then, well, I guess what was the last part? Grinchy dispositions overcome.
0.
0. Yeah.
Yeah, you're still
Yeah, didn't get you into the old spirit
No,
down.
it's not the way to go. I would not recommend to anyone who's like, feeling a little, some trepidations about the holiday season. Don't go out and try to drink every beer that has the word winter in the title because it's not going to fix anything. I guess, which is really an allegory for alcohol in general. So.
And you are aware that they
Surprised.
do samples at bars, right?
I mean, that wasn't the purpose
No,
of the beast,
obviously,
I guess.
I know.
I could have asked him, I guess. I mean, I wasn't that curious to try the 3 that are left over. I mean, there was one and I was kind of interested. I think it was a Great Divide beer, but I don't really remember now. There were some that have been sold out that I was kind of interested to try, but
Another year, another Christmas.
yeah.
Well, you can make this a yearly thing.
Yeah,
That's the one nice thing about
I'd rather
Christmas.
not. I'd rather
Keeps
not do
coming
that.
back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you want to stick around,
Sure.
you're a big fan of cereal. It sounds like we've talked
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
So we're gonna. I want to get. Because I know you're not. I do want to hear why you don't want to hear about it, or why you don't want to listen to it. And then we can maybe go a little back to what we were talking about last night with the old top of or best of 2014. We will be right back. This is the Minnesota Pubcast, and you are listening to us live from O'Gara's.
I came to tell you something is coming.
Exodus, Gods and Kings is getting poor reviews. The big-budget biblical reboot about the story of Moses is directed by Gladiator's Ridley Scott. Christian Bale plays Moses, and he had one main commandment for doing this project.
No matter how many films you've done, it never stops being so much bloody fun. Riding on a horse, slashing through people, having some fights. You know, I mean, that's straight back to being 8 years old.
Comedian Chris Rock's movies typically get poor reviews, but his new movie, Top 5, is getting the best reviews of his Hollywood career.
Do you think the wedding is hurting me? Listen, Andre, the wedding is the best thing that you got going right now. If this thing flops, we could be talking Dancing with the Stars. Man. Dancing with the Stars? That's where you're at right now.
Chris not only stars, he directed and wrote the film, and rewrote the film, and rewrote the film.
Dude, who knows, 100 drafts? I mean, even when you're editing, it's kind of rewriting.
Exodus, Gods and Kings, and Chris Rock's Top 5 are at theaters around town this weekend.
Hi, I'm Terry Daniel, and I've been a voice actor in Minneapolis for over 2 decades now. How often are you getting compliments on your voice? Now is the time to do something about it. If you're interested in getting into voiceovers, please contact me via my website at universalvoicetalent.com.
All right, thank you, Terry Daniel. So I have to mention, because that promo or that little review of Rusty's that we played doesn't really say anything about the show. So if you want to hear more of what Rusty's got to tell you about Chris Rock's new movie or Exodus or any other movies that he's been seeing lately, go to rustygatenbyreview.com. Get all of the information about all of the shows on the Alive and Social Network at aliveandsocial.com. What the bleep are you guys knocking over?
It was my phone. Sorry. That's what happens when you wear tight pants. It squeezes your phone right out.
As long as it's your stuff, not mine.
Squeezes your phone.
That's what happens, man.
Yeah, that's
Don't wear
true.
tight pants, ever. No matter what the media tells you.
Don't worry, I'm too skinny. I can't anyway. Wow. How's he doing down there? You all right?
He found
All right,
it.
all right.
It went
Phone
the
has been
opposite
recovered.
direction I
Our
thought it
guest
would.
is back.
So I have become, and you already were, I've become completely obsessed with this new podcast serial, which, the finale just came out today?
Today.
Right? Did you listen to it?
I've listened to it.
Okay.
It's been an emotional day for me, as most days are.
I can imagine it would be. I'm on episode
Let's be
7. We won't spoil anything for anybody on this one, as we spoil everything on this show. So this is gonna be the one thing we don't. So I want to ask Jerry why he has no interest, and you have listened to it a little bit, right? So it
I listened to like half an episode.
I am not. For those that don't know, it's a murder mystery type of thing where this is a guy that was accused of murdering his girlfriend in 1999, is in a prison for a life
Convicted.
sentence. There's a lot of evidence that goes both ways, so there's a lot to talk about, a lot to dig into, and this reporter is doing that and has been doing it for like a year and a half, right?
A long time. Yeah. Sarah Koenig.
So basically it's like a Dateline show to me. It's that total style where I can just picture like my mom and my sister being totally into it, and I would have no interest in those TV shows.
But with a lot of flair of This American Life.
Well, yes, and that's what this show, to me, it captivated me completely because, and I think maybe what I like about it is that I'm doing it all in my own head. The visual isn't presented to me. I think that when it's on TV, it's all of it's there, and I'm just, I don't care. But for some reason, the fact that I'm creating this story in my own head makes it really interesting to me. So that's what, Jerry, I want to hear. So you listened to half the first episode. As soon as I was 5 minutes in, I was hooked.
Well, it wasn't the first episode. It was just a random episode.
Oh, that was a bad idea to begin with.
Well, I was in the car with my girlfriend, and she listens
okay.
so she commutes to Red Wing every day, so she needs something to do or she'll go crazy.
Dang.
Yeah, so
Minnesota Pubcast.
Yeah.
Get her on
Maybe
board.
maybe this is the new
So listen to
cereal,
this
everyone.
one, at
This is the
least.
new cereal.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I hope so. That'd be great for me in my piece. But I don't know. You said it's like Dateline. I think it's like C-SPAN. You know, like, and it's just like so boring. But like, it's interesting to discuss it. And I think that what you said about people just listening to it and that making it more of an attractive factor. It's so weird that we've gone back to like the 40s and people are like gathering around their radios with their families. Like, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So I think it's like it's interesting to have a cultural phenomenon because like podcasts aren't new. You know,
It's just radio in a different form.
Right. It's just radio on demand, right? But I don't care that much about it. I listen to some podcasts, but I guess I really try to never do what everyone's doing. That's kind of.
You're a contrarian to life.
Oh,
to
well,
society.
in every regard.
Okay.
It's not a coincidence that I dislike people getting too excited about Christmas. If people get too excited about something, I automatically think something's wrong with it. Like, what is going on?
You're a big fan of the Super Bowl.
No. When the Patriots are in it, it's a great thing.
But otherwise,
I watch it, but then I just think like everyone is stupid. That's like my takeaway from everything. But I get nervous when too many people like a single thing. I just watched The Walking Dead. It started this year because too many people liked it, and I didn't feel comfortable liking it. It's like I have no identity if I like this thing. So it's not that I'm against cereal on principle. It's just that I guess I am against it on principle. I don't. It's not cereal qua cereal that I'm against. It's not the fact of what's going on in it, but it is very like This American Life. And if I want to listen to talk radio, I guess I'll listen to talk radio.
But it's not cereal's fault that cereal is popular.
Yeah. Well, right. I'm not punishing cereal. I don't think anyone's noticing the fact I'm not listening. The number one podcast in the history of podcasts doesn't care that I'm not listening.
No, what I find so fascinating about this whole podcast, and again, this isn't a spoiler in any way, but it's what captivated me was that if you asked me what I was doing 3 weeks ago on a Tuesday, just whatever, I wouldn't be able to tell you any details whatsoever.
No.
I would say, well, I probably, just like he does in the podcast, the guy who's convicted, he's, well, I was probably doing this, and then I probably went there, and then I probably did, like, I don't know what I don't know what I did yesterday. So what for me,
and that's a huge point. That's a huge point of the show. This isn't giving away much, but I will say there aren't a lot of alibis. There aren't a lot of strong facts. There's a lot of just kind of guesswork.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this case so interesting, because he was convicted and he's serving life in prison. So there's a lot of guesswork, and she brings up that exact point very, very early on in the show.
Well, and if you did something very serious on a certain day, you're going to remember it. But if you didn't do anything serious that day, it would not be significant to you. So this whole fact that he's just sitting there going, I don't know, I probably did that. Like, that's what you would do if you were innocent. But this whole time, there's so many things that make you go, God, this guy's guilty as hell.
What's interesting is
what's really cool about it.
What's interesting is that they lead with the outcome. Because like what happened. He's in jail.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
like the whole thing is trying to piece together how they got there, which I guess is interesting. It's kind of like the opposite of Law and Order,
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that night when we were at the bar, we were talking about why it's so appealing to people, and we were also talking about how badly his lawyer like fucked up everything.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And like that's really sad because I went to school in Baltimore and I know that shit happens all the time. There's so much crime in Baltimore. An attorney would be really hard pressed to care about anything. But I mean, not only did she fuck it up, but then she's dead, and it's like, well, like you can't do anything about it. So I mean, I guess that's like you get a lot of empathy or.
Well, and Sarah Koenig, the reporter that's doing this show, the way she writes it, I just think it's phenomenal. And I don't like that NPR style. I don't like that introduce the quote, have the other person say 3 words, jump right in, basically speak for them, let them say 3 more words. And she doesn't do that. There's a bit of that where, I mean, when she speaks for the person that she's interviewing, it's because she has to. Like either they were cut off or it's in a transcript. It's not actually recorded. But she doesn't do the whole, let them say 3 things and then I'll make the entire point for the person, which I swear public radio does constantly and drives me nuts.
So what episode are you on right now?
I'm halfway through 7.
Wow,
So
you're
I'm gonna
up
finish
there.
it tomorrow. I'm so into this thing.
You're
And
up there,
see, one
man.
day I'll be there and I'll just like in 2 years I'll just listen to the whole thing in one day.
Yeah.
And then like I'll have no one to talk to about it, but that'll be fine. There'll be archives of conversations.
See, and this is where what I did with Breaking Bad was I came in like season 4.
Yeah, I did
so
the same thing.
Everybody's
I
at
do
the
that
peak
too.
of the popularity, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just watch all of them, and then we'll watch the last season with you.
Yeah.
And for me, that was so much better than because I would be dying right now if I had to wait a week every episode.
Yeah.
It would drive me nuts. It's so much better not to have.
Well,
to
that's
wait.
what I did with The Walking Dead. So I got into The Walking Dead so crazy hard in like October, and then when we got to the season, I was like, I can't wait every week for this. Like, first of all, how the hell do you remember what's going on in the last one?
Yeah.
And second of all, it's like it is painful. Even like Sunday night, 8 o'clock, it's like, we're finally here, but all day I've been thinking about this, you know. I had to clear out my entire schedule, and I don't want to live like that, you know.
No.
Do it in my leisure.
You don't wanna live
I'd
like
rather
that.
just block off 20 hours of a single day and get through it.
No, the greatest way to watch TV nowadays is to not know about the good shows when they're on and then catch up with them years later. It really is.
As long as you can avoid reading anything
Right,
about it. I
right.
mean, that's the scary. Like for me right now, I'm way so I'm watching The Wire as well, which I think is really funny. I'm
I've
watching
yet
The Wire.
to take the bait on that.
Oh, you.
I'll do it one day.
One day you have to, because it's probably one of the greatest shows
And I'll
of all
call my
time.
friend Pat and I'll be like, where the hell were you 4.5 years ago when we were talking
Right?
about this? Yeah.
Exactly.
But that's fine with me. I don't need to be
Right.
super current.
It's but it's kind of fun to watch it later on. It's like a different perspective. And it's all Baltimore. You know that, right?
Yeah,
You know
of
it's all
course I know
Baltimore.
that, yeah.
Well,
I was
hope
just saying,
so.
I
that's
mean-
why he's not into it.
Also, I mean,
Ugh.
I don't know. Everyone's like, oh, is Baltimore like The Wire? I was like, yeah, motherfucker, it's like The Wire. It's just like that. People running out, spider caps, got that, you know, like just fucking shit like that happens all over the place. But I think that was a big reason why the people I was in college with were watching. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
I should learn about my environment by watching The Wire. It's like, or you just go down the fucking
Or you
street.
just go down the
Or
street,
walk
man.
out the door.
For sure. For sure.
Like, watch a crack addict get arrested. It happes down the street all the time.
Is Baltimore really that bad?
I mean, it's
Oh,
where
hell
we
yeah.
were.
I've only been there
where we
once.
were, where Loyola is not a bad area, but there are. I mean, kids would get mugged.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time I was down there, I brought my girlfriend down there. It was the first time she'd ever been to Baltimore, and we parked her car, and there was someone getting arrested on the street, and everyone in the neighborhood was out there, and they were all like screaming, and like I had these bags, just want to get to the apartment. This guy stopped me. He's like, "Yo, light skinned, what's going on over there?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. I just fucking got here." And that was the first of 3 people we saw get arrested that weekend.
Wow.
So,
Interesting.
it's not the nicest place, but I love it. It's near and dear to my heart. I think it's a great place.
Yeah, yeah.
But David Simon, The Wire is not his first documentary. He did
No.
one called The Corner. Before that, it was about similar. You know, it was about crack addicts and heroin addicts living in abandoned houses in Baltimore. It's interesting. But one day I will watch The Wire, and I will do it in one sitting, and I'll just enjoy it privately.
You
And
will.
I don't need to like read the AV Club's write-up on it. It's like, "Ugh, this week I wonder what's going to happen with Omar."
There's nothing worse than that internet chatter. The predictions of what's going to happen
Yeah,
on,
I don't
on a
wanna be part of
TV
it.
show.
I appreciate that on some shows though, but The Wire is one where I don't really need that. I haven't gone there's some shows I watch later on where I go online and I kind of read someone else's viewpoint of it to kind of give myself a different viewpoint. But The Wire hasn't been that way.
Yeah.
It's just a really real show, and you know the guy who did it is a journalist. He knows what he's talking about. So,
So, yeah,
as
Simon
Suhan said,
crushes it on
That's,
Yeah.
I mean, to use a term from Breaking Bad, like my life is no half measures. Like one speed, full speed, one way, all the way. That's like kind of how I do everything, and I get really obsessed with things, you know. So that's why it's so difficult watching these Marvel comic book movies develop, because I don't care about the episodic nature of it. I just want to know what happens in the end, and I want to sit down and watch it all. So I've purposely distanced myself from Serial. Part of it, like, it has such an uninteresting name. It's very easy to ignore for me.
Mm-hmm. That was why it didn't catch my attention at all.
Serial?
It seems so to me. Serial didn't mean anything.
I guess
to
it
me.
pays like homage to the idea of it being like a serial publication. It comes out weekly, like a radio broadcast might. But yeah, it's just so boring. I
or a
couldn't care.
serial killer.
Or a serial killer.
Yeah.
That's the other angle that it could be. But I just don't know. I don't think that was what. I mean, you tried to push it on me weeks ago. Not push it on me, but I mean, you mentioned it, how you were into it, and it just. I don't know. There was something. Maybe you know what? The Wire might have had a little bit of that to it too. Actually, when that first came out, my buddies told me for the first 3 seasons, they were like, "You've got to watch the
have
show.
to
You've got to
watch
watch
it."
the show." And I was.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing with Serial. It's like the description isn't that interesting either. It's like, oh, this unsolved crime in Baltimore. I was like, yeah, I saw The Wire, or I didn't see The Wire, but I know about The Wire.
I saw The Wire. I was like,
well,
wait.
it's like, you know, that's why I don't care about The Wire, because I don't think the premise is very interesting. But once I get invested in the characters, I'm sure I'll care. It's like me trying to sell Boardwalk Empire to someone. It's like, yeah, these guys, they make booze and they ship it around. It's great, and it's like, you have to really understand it and see it and get involved with it to understand it.
You
And I think for me, it's been very easy to keep out of Serial for that reason.
I think if a show took place in Minnesota, I'd be really pumped to watch it right away. Though, so I'm interested that you didn't like jump on it, like, oh, it takes place here.
I mean, I watched The Town, but only because it took place in Boston. It's one of the most absurd, stupidest movies I've ever seen in my entire life. Oh, let's rob Fenway Park. You know, it's
Thank
stupid.
you for finally being someone who thought that movie sucked too.
It was terrible.
That movie
Jeremy
was
Renner
horrible.
was awful in it, and he's such a good actor, and he really sucked in it. The movie sucked. Most movies that take place in Boston suck, and there's a lot of them.
Is
There
it
are
mostly
a lot.
the accents?
I mean, so actually, I very recently wrote a piece about Boston accents in film and TV, and which ones are good and which ones are bad. But I guess it's not that bad. Like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, they're from Massachusetts. Mark Wahlberg's from Dorchester. Like, so
Yeah.
he has a real accent. He's
Yep.
like kind of the pinnacle, you know, of Boston accents in movies, and he's really, really good at it. But most of them are terrible. Jack Nicholson in The Departed.
In The Departed, the worst.
He sounds like Jack Nicholson. And then the worst ever.
But he sounds like Jack Nicholson doing some accent. Like he's got an accent. No idea what it is.
It's really lazy. But
yeah.
The worst is Julianne Moore in 30 Rock. It was just terrible.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was the worst. I couldn't even
Yeah,
listen
do
to
you
it.
remember that?
No, I haven't seen that.
You've never seen 30 Rock?
I haven't seen that one. I haven't
She
seen
was in
her
it for like
trying to do
whole
a Boston
season.
accent.
She
No.
Yeah.
was Jack Donaghy's girlfriend.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Alec
yeah, it was
Baldwin,
pretty bad.
another guy who does a bad Boston accent. Alec
Yeah.
Baldwin, not good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I think because Minnesota is so new to me, I would also be really interested if something took place here.
Nothing
But nothing
happens.
does.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that.
Cinematically, not, I mean, Fargo, but
Right, Fargo.
But that's
Again,
a whole
yes,
other
something that
story.
makes fun of us, basically.
Right.
That always works.
No.
All right, so we got 10 minutes left in our year of the Minnesota Pubcast.
Our first year.
Our first year. I want to hear Jerry's top. Give me a couple of your top things from this year, like concerts you've seen. You said you write for music for
Yeah.
City Pages.
Yeah,
so.
and preferably albums, because Jason and I couldn't
albums,
think
yes.
of any fucking albums that we were like blown away by.
Oh,
this
man,
year. I
dude,
know. We just
Run the Jewels, man. Run the Jewels changed everything. They were fucking phenomenal. They were just such a sensation. And even though their first album came out last year, and it was like a near perfect album, but not a lot of people really picked up on it. And I think they really kind of ran away with it because LP and Killer Mike were on every music blog. Every song they came out was huge. When they came out with a song with Zach De La Rocha, everyone was like, "Oh my God, they got the Rage Against the Machine guy 14 years after anyone gave a shit about Rage Against the Machine." And the album is just like front to back amazing. Such a good album.
Okay, write it down, Jason. Write it down.
It's recorded. It's
Yeah.
a podcast.
Oh,
Yeah, we
that's
wrote
right.
it with
I got
sound.
it. Ones and zeros.
Yeah, so that was an awesome album. I could listen to it over and over again.
What
Okay.
was your favorite show this year?
I saw, so right after I moved back, it was the week I moved here, I saw POS at the Fine Line parking lot. It was his first show back after getting his kidney replaced. And he played with Bus Driver, Open Mike Eagle, SZA, and shit, there was someone else on that bill. It was a great show. It was a fucking awesome show. And everyone, it was like really nice to be in Minnesota and to be outside and have everyone really just like enjoying the music so much. It felt very communal. So it was like a very nice welcoming. You know, I think that was very specific to the fact that I had just moved here, and I felt really welcomed. So that was cool. That was a great show.
Why did you move here?
So my girlfriend got a job in Red Wing.
At the Boots.
Yeah, so she's
At the Boots.
At the Boots. They call it the Shoe.
The Shoe.
They call it the Shoe in Red Wing because
Yeah.
everything in Red Wing is named Red Wing. I don't know if you've ever been there before.
No, everything is Red Wing this.
Yeah,
Red
it's
Wing
like
that.
the Red Wing supermarket, the Red Wing butcher, right? So yeah, I moved out here. And
Cool. You happy you did?
Yeah, it's a great place, man. It's really. I'm fucking horrified about the winter.
Yeah.
Not that like Massachusetts has the most mild winter ever, but
Yeah, I mean, you got pretty bad ones up there, too. So.
yeah, but
It
the
helps
cold.
being near the water, though.
The
That
coldest it was
helps.
last year was 4 degrees, and it's already been colder than that 5 times this
Yeah,
year. So
yeah, you're right. I was going to say, this is about as bad as it gets, but that's not.
no,
I'm
I'm
straight
not
blind
excited
to your
for
face.
January. Yeah, so I love the city. It's not as like it's very progressive and like socially conscious, and like I could not fucking wait to vote for Al Franken when I got here. I was like psyched about it. So I've been, everything is walking distance to my apartment. I can have a dog. Can't have a dog anywhere in Boston. You cannot get a landlord to let you have a dog. So
Dang.
that was a dream come true. Obviously, I've spoken highly of Camper this entire podcast. Just got his fecal results back. He's negative.
Go Camper.
Yeah, they called me on the way here.
Shit's clean.
The way to go.
Good for him.
Yeah. So
Well,
he's really been the highlight of my year. If I could give an
Yeah.
overall top, Camper was the greatest thing.
When our dog's not the
Yeah,
greatest thing, though.
he's the best.
Dogs are the best. Well, the other thing is, if you want to, you're excited about vote for Al Franken, you get to probably do that once every 2 years. We have some other random liberal celeb that comes into focus.
Right. Well, yeah.
Not even, Jesse wasn't a liberal, but he was
Yeah, it's just
something.
like you guys have a history of just voting in anyone whose name you recognize, I guess.
Yeah, we're like,
We're
yeah,
insane
I
here.
know you.
We are absolutely
Yeah.
insane
We're
here.
very
That is for
Yeah, I
sure.
know his family. He's a good guy. Yeah.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
What would you say is your top beer this year of a newer beer? Do you have one?
I don't know. That Bernardus was really, really good. And I don't often drink beer of like that super high quality. So that was wonderful. I love everything. This was the year I really fell in love with Clown Shoes, which is kind of like a brewing collective in Boston. They don't have a brewery, but they kind of brew here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some really great beers. This is a Clementine beer that is awesome. Yeah, this year I really fell in love with a lot of beers brewed out of Boston. Pretty Things. Aeronaut just opened a brewery. They have some really, really great stuff, too.
Do you get all the San Diego beers out there?
No.
So like Ballast
we have
Point
Stone,
and
yeah, I mean the big ones.
The big ones do. Okay.
Actually, they just opened a Stone brewery in North Carolina, I think.
Okay.
And so like the cost went way down on that. I love Stone stuff. They had a limited release series this year, and I would just pick those up, and those were really good. And there was a session IPA they had. I can't remember what it was called. It's a go-to IPA. That was a good one too.
Okay.
Yeah. What's been your favorite Minnesota brewery so far?
Surly's great. I mean, I went on the bar crawl where they released the Doomtree beer, which is a really good beer. I mean, like, you know how like a lot of Surly beers just annihilate your palate, and they're like crazy hoppy.
They're usually always over the top.
Yeah, they're like the Stone of the Middle East.
Yeah.
The
Middle
Midwest.
East.
Midwest. Middle East. No.
That could be the other. We've been talking about how Minnesota's trying to market itself differently. Let's go Middle East.
Yeah.
Screw this Midwest shit.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think that's gonna fly.
No, I don't think so either.
No, maybe you want to change that terminology, make it more marketable. But I love Surly. Like, Furious is a great beer. It's a great beer to drink if you're really intent on only having that beer, because it's so heavy and so hopped up, and it's great. So
their overrated is really good too.
Yes,
really like
actually,
overrated.
what I think is weird about their beers, they all come in cans though. I don't like that so much because I like to drink out of a bottle. But I had a buddy of mine left a 6-pack of or a 4-pack of overrated at the house, and it was great. I drank those in 2 days.
Well, 2 things that I've learned recently. One is the best way to keep a beer as close to out of the brewery itself is by can. That's the best way to keep it, because no light, all that.
Yeah.
And then you should never drink a beer out of what you get it in, the container, because the finishing part of the brewing process is the pouring it out, because you're letting out that excess carbonation.
Right, and you're getting the aroma, because like a can's gonna block all the aroma.
So exactly, and I used to, drinking out of a can is the most disgusting. I hate that aluminum. I mean, you taste aluminum, absolutely, in glass you don't. But I have nothing against Surly now, because I realize that I'm supposed to be pouring it out anyway. So what difference does it make?
Well, it says right on it, it's like beer in a can for a glass, or it says something like that.
Exactly.
But actually, Sam Adams this year, they were experimenting with a can that the entire top peels off, so you can like actually drink out of a cup. You know, it was like an interesting thought.
That's taking it a little too far, maybe. But
they just started canning their beers. They've only been canning Boston Lager for like a year now. And when they did it, they were, because like, Jim Koch is this big douchebag about aroma. He was like, I invented my own glass as a laser etching releases the carbonation. It's like, and it's stupid. I don't know if you've heard.
The special shaped Sam Adams glasses.
Right.
I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So he has like a whole philosophy behind it. And so when
is there anything actually backing that up, though, or is that really just?
I mean, you can see there's like a stream of bubbles that come up from the bottom because like of the laser etching. I don't know how lasers and beers interact really.
Right.
And I don't think most people who drink Sam Adams really care that much.
Exactly.
But, that was an interesting idea I thought he had. But I try to never drink out of a can. My brother said he always told me you never go to a bar to drink out of a can. Like I remember him yelling at me for ordering a canned beer. Although if you're at First Avenue, you have to get your 16-ounce grain belts.
Or I was gonna say, if you're a hipster, you got the PBR, and you can't drink a PBR out of a glass. The whole point is to have that can in your hands.
Right. Yeah. It's all about crushing it when you're done.
That too. Yeah.
Because I drink a lot of Narragansett, which is a Rhode Island beer. It's probably similar to Grain Belt. I drink it all the time at bars, but they only serve in cans, so it's like. That's what he was yelling at me for. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm broke, motherfucker.
Good life lessons from your brother.
Molly, you got any final things you want to talk about for the last show of 2014?
Oh my God, this is so much pressure. Man.
You got 2 minutes.
So much.
The floor is yours.
2 minutes.
Yep.
Oh my God, no, you can't put this pressure on me.
I'm just kidding. If you don't, that's fine.
We had a really great best of show yesterday, so go back and listen to and agree with us, disagree with us. We still have a lot to see. We still have a lot.
Movie-wise?
Yeah,
we're way behind on that. But award season's coming up, so when we get to the actual award shows, we'll have seen at least some of the movies. And we'll even see the popular ones, because we're not like Jerry and we're not anti-everyone.
Oh, my God, Jerry!
Get off our show.
Jerry.
You're fucking out of here now. You're done. Boyhood sucks. God,
Whatever.
you are a curmudgeon.
No.
Holy shit.
It was okay.
Oh,
it wasn't the best. Maybe it was the best movie of the year, but...
Oh,
Quiet down about boyhood.
You are welcome to come back anytime because you definitely fit the vibe of this show, and I love the how you hate everything. I'm a big fan of that. So
it makes the things I like more special.
Yeah, well, that's true.
That's the way I think
That's
of it.
very true.
That's a
All
really
right.
good thing.
Well, we're out of time. We will have to see you in a couple of Wednesdays from now at Burger Moe's. We will probably be doing a Wild Wednesday on Tuesday, a Jeff Dubay show. So stick around. Follow Jeff. You see all that stuff on Twitter. Jerry Fagerberg. What's your Twitter handle?
At JG Fagerberg.
And then find all your stuff at City Pages. You write independently or anything anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you'll find me here and there, but you're going to want to check out the Twitter. There's a lot of good jokes on there. Hot takes for people who are fans of takes.
Nice. All right. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, all that good
Happy
stuff.
Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah,
Chag
Kwanzaa.
Sameach.
What else can I throw in there?
You got it.
I don't know any other winter holidays.
What the
Feast of Krampus.
There we go.
Festivus for the rest of us.
Festivus. All right. Thanks, guys. See you next time.